Hi, I'm here with the top 10 best and worst movies of 2021 in the middle of January 2022. This video is a little late. A little late, but I had some complications as to why I couldn't get this video up by the end of the year, and I still wanted to make this video, so here I am. Now, this is not really a top 10 best and worst. This is basically the 5 movies I loved the most and the 5 movies I hated the most from this year. In terms of the year, I saw 133 films. 78 of those films were from this year. But based on the Wikipedia list of films released in 2021, I saw 77 of the 104 films released. Since this is the new year, I saw 8 of those movies after 2021. So they're not included in the 133 films I saw last year. And in terms of the trailers I reacted to, I saw 30 out of the 32 films I reacted to. I still haven't seen 83, nor have I seen Tadap. I personally keep a Word document of all the Indian films I've seen, and I like to rate them, not based on like a general consensus, not really critically, though there's some critical involved in it. It's just basically on my personal liking and experience with the films. So I like to rate from 1 to 5, 5 being the best and 1 being the worst. In terms of the worst movies I saw this year, I had a lot of contenders. But in terms of my top 5, here we go. Number 5 is 14 Pair. The same thing for Hum Do Hamari Do. I was waiting for the movie to start. I was waiting for the comedy. It felt like a solution that could be easily resolved. But just like Hum Do Hamari Do, it had some nice chemistry between the 2 main stars. Anyway, this movie felt too long and the ending was ridiculous. Here I was waiting for the fun to begin, and then I was waiting for the film to end. Number 4 is Madam Chief Minister. I didn't react to this trailer. I didn't react to any of the songs. I actually thought about leaving it off the list because I don't think it's a film many people have heard of. I actually thought about putting Rade at number 5 and putting 14 Pair at number 4. But this film bothered me so much. I actually thought Richa Chadha was miscast for the role, and also I thought she gave a weak performance. And even in terms of Richa Chadha, I find her to be inconsistent in acting. Sometimes she gives great performances, and then sometimes she doesn't give great performances. It was sloppy, boring, and forgettable, but I still remember the pain. Number 3 is Booj, The Pride of India. It's based on real life, but it doesn't seem real. The CGI is distracting. It's grandiose with a big budget, but it feels ill-executed. The action looks staged and it doesn't feel realistic. The writing is basically patriotic prose, and the acting is over the top as if everyone is trying to win an award with this film. I didn't care for the characters, and there didn't really seem to be any real stakes for the events in the film. There's no tension, anxiousness, nor real build-up for the things that are happening. Booj may be the pride of India, but this film is not a proud moment in Hindi cinema. Number 2 is Hungama 2. It felt like it was written in the 2000s, but it just never got funding. Watching it, I said it felt like a Priyadarshan or a David Dhawan film, only to later find out it is a Priyadarshan film. Also, the humor and situational comedy felt dated and also stale. The songs felt dated, but I did think the songs were cute. They just weren't in the right decade. I suffered through this film, never laughing in a supposed comedy with average acting. The 2 leads had no chemistry, and the main actor had more charm in Malal than this film. With this being a sequel, this should have released a couple years after the original film, or at least within the 2000s. This should have been a bad comedy from the 2000s. Not a bad comedy from the 2020s. Now, in terms of the worst film, it is a John Abraham film. I know you're thinking, Satyameva Jayate too. Of course, it's horrible. The best way for me to describe that movie is that it's the worst movie with the best intentions. Critically, it's got to be one of the worst, if not the worst film of 2021. And also, I would sum it up to be a good, bad movie. I enjoyed it. It was so bad. It's so bad, but it was really entertaining. Number 1 is Mumbai Saga. The story is fine, but it's been told before and has been told better. With the 2 main characters, I didn't find myself caring for, rooting for, nor sympathetic to either one of them. It's boring. The action is over the top, that it's laughable. That doesn't seem to make it the worst film of the year. But the thing that made it the worst film for me was that it was horrible to look at. I hated the color grading of puke green and piss yellow. I remember thinking it reminded me of the song Mahive. Not saying it looked horrible in Mahive. It kind of worked for Mahive with the club setting. And I came to find out it's from the same director, Sanjay Gupta. I've seen other films of this director, and it seems that this is his thing. But this is the first time that I can recall the color being at best a distraction and at worst an annoyance. The other thing, in terms of the way this film looks, was something that also annoyed me in Kabil, though I'm not calling Kabil a bad film. It's the way he frames heads. It's a lot of close-ups, and he cuts people off at the forehead. This is super duper highly annoying. Really, it's just a generic film, but I couldn't stand looking at it for the technical aspects of this film. On to my top 5 best films of the year. I had a few movies that were 4s, which I thought were great films, so I thought I'd just mention them. In terms of movies I rated a 5, personally rated a 5, I had 7 films. Some of them aren't expected. 2 that didn't make the list were Saga, which I thought was my favorite action film this year. I liked it a lot. And Meenakshi Shunavishar, which was the romantic comedy I liked the most from this year. I probably should give it a 4, but I just really liked it. Number 5 is Mimi. I love Mimi. I love that it was unique and something we hadn't really seen in Bollywood. Kriti Sanon was fantastic. The whole cast was great, including Pankaj Tripathi and also the 2 white actors. Sometimes I find in some Bollywood films, not everyone, the non-Indian actors can sometimes mess up the film with their acting. And so sometimes you just hope that their roles are very brief and small. But these 2 white actors are very vital to the film, and I thought their acting was great. It had its funny moments and it had its dramatic moments, and I found myself conflicted in the second half, which I didn't expect for some reason. I was so conflicted that I didn't know what the solution should be. I love the soundtrack, and I think that this is one of the films in which the songs actually shined in the movie. I cried when 3 songs were playing. I cried during and Riaide and Choti Si Chiraya, Choti Si Chiraya. Just being critical because I won't make a movie review about this. I just want to mention it. Just personal opinion. I wish that Pankaj Tripathi's role was played by a younger single person who was money motivated and had no family, so that he and Kriti could fall in love and he could also find a family. And I also get the romance. Because I don't think Pankaj Tripathi's role of being an older married gentleman really added to the film, since he already had a father figure. But it gave us a funny scene later, a nice little monologue from Pankaj later, and also good chemistry between Kriti and Pankaj. In conclusion, it was an emotional watch, but also an enjoyable watch. Number 4 is really a cheat, because this film is not in Hindi. It's an English film. It's not a Bollywood film. I don't even think it's produced by an Indian production company. Correct me if I'm wrong. But it stars 2 Bollywood actors. This film is The White Tiger. It stars Rajkumar Rao, Priyanka Chopra, and Ardash Gaurav, who I've never seen before but was fantastic in the film. Actually, the whole cast was fantastic in the film. I actually made a short movie review about this, and so I'll probably just... The White Tiger was a strong film. Strong performances, strong dialogue, strong story, strong vision. I feel like it's a movie in which you can talk about the characters, you can talk about the scenes, you can talk about the themes. It's one of those films in which I compare it to like a book we would, read in class, in English class, and you would say, okay, what did this scene mean? What did, Rajkumar's father represent? What did the little child at the end mean? You can form character analysis for these characters. It just opens up dialogue, or the film allows you to think more about things. And everything that is said in the film, it's not like you have to believe it or go along with it. It's just a conversation starter. And the way it's presented, it's very well done. And like I said in the trailer, you don't know how you get from A to B. You do not understand how you get from beginning to end. It's really cool. The only thing I would take out, or the thing I didn't really care for, was he's writing a letter to, I think, the Chinese leader. It's like, why? I didn't fully understand that. I would more put him just writing his life story. A book maybe he wants to be published after he dies or something like that. But I didn't really like that angle, but that's the only thing. Everything else I loved. Number 3 is Sada Udam. It's a very interesting story. I also love the costume design, set design, and the look of this film, though I don't know if it's historically accurate. Vicky Kaushal was amazing. That's an award-winning performance right there. And also all of the British actors were great as well. I had so many thoughts on this film in terms of the issues brought forth. Is Saddam Hussein a hero? Were his actions justified? It was thought-provoking, and I actually had a really good discussion with my brother on the different issues mentioned in the film. Yeah, I would highly recommend this film for other people to watch. Number 2 is Ram Prasad Ki Cherry. It's a funny film with the setting being a funeral. It's a good story with witty writing, well-developed characters, and strong performances from the cast. I feel like it's realistic and the characters feel relatable. And also it's very impassive in tone, but also has a lot of heart. And number one, Shasha. It's so funny. I was going to make a video, but I didn't, based on the comparison of Booj and Shasha. They're both war films based on true events. And one is the worst film of this year and one is the best film of this year. And I just want to compare as to why that is. Please leave your thoughts below. But anyway, in terms of Shasha, it felt real, and it's actually based on a real life event, which I didn't know until the end of the film. I don't know how many creative liberties were taken to make this film, but it all felt plausible. I actually cared for the characters, and it's a film with real stakes, and it makes you anxious as to who will live or die, including the main protagonist. Though I was spoiled because I saw Man Barrier 2.0 before watching the film. The direction and the cinematography is beautiful, and I love the use of practical effects over CGI. As someone who has said sometimes Siddharth's acting can feel underwhelming, I thought this was one of his best performances. I thought he really delivered in the role. I thought everybody was great, including Kiara Advani. I also thought the songs were well utilized and really complemented the film. I think it is a wonderful film and definitely worth a watch. Please leave your thoughts and leave your best and worst of the year. And thank you so much for watching the video. Thank you for supporting the channel by watching the videos, liking the videos, subscribing, joining my Patreon. Thank you very much. And I will see you again soon. Bye.